Welcome everyone to the first episode of Behind the Call, a podcast where we'll dive into the voices behind the sports we all know and love. I'm your host, Chase Upton, and I'm honored to have our very first guest, first of hopefully many, Ben Upton. Ben is a former Division I baseball player and the co-founder of the 11.7 college baseball podcast, one of the biggest college baseball podcasts in the country. Since starting in 2019, he's helped grow 11.7 into a go-to source for college baseball coverage. Ben, how are we doing?
Doing well. Wow, that was a good intro. I appreciate all that.
Took me
But
all
you
the
know
way
me, like
out.
at the end of the day, like I'm just a normal guy that just is
Yeah.
obsessed with college baseball. So
Kind of kick things off. We'll just get right into it. Kind of walk me through how 11.7 got started. I know it was not just you, but a couple of different guys, and how have you guys been able to grow it into the big following that y'all have now? I think y'all are almost combined Facebook, Instagram, X, everything almost at 100,000 followers combined. So
yeah, it's been crazy. So to answer your question, I had the idea of starting it while sitting on the bench of a college baseball game, and it was probably 2017. I got the idea of, hey, you know what? There's not a lot of college baseball coverage out there. There's 300 plus teams at the Division I level, and the D1 baseballs and Baseball Americas of the world, they really only care about 24 to 30 teams. There's 270 teams with good stories, whether it's coaches, players, fans. There's good stories all around the game of college baseball, and it happened to be the same year that Coastal Carolina won the national championship, which was a big shocker to see a small school go and win the college baseball World Series. So I had the idea in 2017. I finally put it to fruition in January of 2019, and we started simple. It was me, my best friend since I was 8 years old, James Barry, who also played mid-major college baseball, and then Dimitri Cordis, who was running all of our social media accounts when we first got started. He was also a mid-major player at Mercer University with me. So we started with just a podcast, a very simple website, and then a Twitter account, Instagram, and Facebook. And that was it. And it's just kind of grown organically since then with posting regularly, creating a good, loyal fan base. And man, it's been a surprise to see how big it's gotten.
So you talk about like the surprise factor of it. Was it ever, obviously you have conversations just talking with the guys, but was it ever a plan to grow any type of, money making thing out of it? Or was it just kind of, hey, let's just start something to talk baseball with the guys? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it was. So the plan was to start a college baseball podcast and website that was for the players, by the players, if that makes sense. So we were, a lot of the college baseball industry is former scouts or current scouts or people that are obsessed with the MLB draft. We didn't really care about any of that. We wanted to see guys that competed every night and represented the jersey or the name on the front of their jersey, and wanted to comment on like the team aspect of the game. And so I think that's why it kind of caught fire quickly, was because like the guys in the middle of nowhere, like Stephen F. Austin's of the world, the players really connected with us because we talked like we were in the locker room with somebody, not about scouting or not about reports or anything like that. Just player talk by former players.
Yeah. Do you feel like, and I don't know the demographic of all the other college baseball podcasts. I mean, if I'm being honest, I only listen to y'all's, like, I hate to admit it, but
Yeah.
do you feel like it gives y'all an advantage, you and Dimitri and Jack being a former player? Do you think it gives y'all an advantage on kind of just what y'all are able to bring to the consumers, like being former players?
I think so. I really do. And I've been told by a couple different coaches that, and this is not like a brag or anything for us. It's a badge of honor that we wear. But these coaches and players trust us a little bit more than they would a college baseball reporter or a scout, because they know that word spreads pretty quickly in those industries. Whereas former players just doing it for fun, and they have no problem telling us, stuff going on in the locker room or potential drama or whatever. They trust us a little bit more. So I think that's how we connect better with them.
Yeah. And earlier you talked about how, when y'all first started getting into it, was just, the media coverage was all in the, higher echelon of the, top 25 or whatever it may be. How do you feel that the landscape of college baseball has grown, not just since y'all have started the podcast, like just
Yeah,
5 years, 6 years?
it's gotten a lot more popular. The sport itself has so much more momentum than it did 5, 6, 7 years ago. Really, after the COVID season of 2020 that got cut short, you felt a little momentum, or at least we did. We felt a little bit of momentum like, hey, the sport's got something. People are starting to care about it. And then starting in 2021 until now, it feels like those college football fans, those diehard fans, are moving towards caring about their college baseball team and more so than maybe even their college basketball team. And I think the reason why is because many schools are investing into their baseball stadium and their baseball atmosphere. So it's very fan friendly to bring your family out, sit out in the sun on a Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, kick back, enjoy baseball, eat a hot dog, have a couple drinks, and that's what I think appeals to the fans more so than sitting inside of an arena at a basketball where it's loud, it's crowded. You can't really bring a family, or you could, but sometimes it gets loud and a little wild in there. So that's where I think that it kind of shifted. Was starting to see a lot of college football fans just grab onto their favorite college baseball team from the school.
Yeah. How do you think it is? Um, do you? It's kind of weird to put into words, but how do you think bigger programs that have had powerhouse football programs like in Alabama, like how
Mhm.
they've been so good at football for so long, and now their basketball starting to pick up and their baseball starting to pick up. How do you feel that those type of programs getting bigger and better baseball programs will help grow in general, help grow the sport of college baseball?
Yeah, it's really important, right? Because in economics, especially in world economics, there's something called the trickle down effect. So when the football team is making hundreds of millions of dollars in profit every year, that money's got to go somewhere, right? And and with the world of the NIL and the transfer portal, um, the money could go to potential new players, or it could go to new coaching staffs, or it can go to facilities. Every little thing plays a part into getting a potential recruit at your school. So, like Alabama is a great example. They finally decided, hey, you know what? Baseball can be a profitable sport at our school. Let's invest into our stadium. Let's build a nice stadium to get more fans and more traction coming in, which is new money. And then also, like, let's use that money and let's go get an awesome coach. Like, let's go get a guy that's a winner that has been proven to turn around programs. And then let's let that coach have some flexibility on going to get potential new student athletes onto the team, whether that's in the transfer portal or out of high school or grad student. And maybe he can give them some NIL money. And now Alabama's undefeated right now, playing some of the best baseball in the country. Whereas 5 years ago, they were always at the bottom of the SEC. So Alabama's a good example there of a school that has invested the money to bring a winning culture.
Yeah. And what would you say to fans that are um, maybe just getting into it or don't watch college baseball at all? They just quickly flip from football to basketball. What are fans that don't really buy into their college's baseball program? What are they missing out on?
Well, I think you're missing out on, and I mean this wholeheartedly, and I think a lot of people would agree. This is the most meaningful baseball, or the highest level of meaningful baseball until you get to the major league level. And even at the major league level, you're not you're not seeing players as a whole, like a team, care about as much as these Division 1 athletes care about baseball until you get into the MLB postseason, or at least September, like a September push for the playoffs. MLB kind of has this stigma around it where every player is just out for themselves, trying to make the next big contract. They're trying to stat boost. They're trying to get their statistics up so they get paid more money. And then once the postseason comes around, then they start playing as a team. Well, in minor league baseball, it's even worse. Everybody's an individual in minor league baseball. They're trying to get their shot at
Trying to
major league
survive.
baseball. Yep. But with college baseball, it's completely different. Like, imagine your little league team, or like I'm talking to the potential new fan. how much fun you had on your little league team trying to win games and play with your friends. Well, that's what it's like. But these guys are now 18 to 22 years old, still with the same mission of, hey, we've been together since August, working out, doing morning workouts, 2-a-days, lifting weights, eating, hanging out, going to parties on the weekend together, building this team chemistry. And then once the season starts in February, it's a quick season, February until the end of May for the regular season. And so you get 3 months with your brothers to go to war and battle 4 times a week. And so you see that excitement that these kids, I say kids, they're young adults, but you see the excitement every single game, whether the score is 14-0 or 1-1. Every moment just feels so big for these guys.
So obviously, you being a former Division One player, kind of talk me through maybe a little, maybe a detail that somebody wouldn't think about that Division One baseball players go through. Like, what
Yeah.
are some things that maybe fans or media members kind of don't know, having not played at that level?
Yeah, I'll tell you this. It can be stressful at times, especially when there's well, back when I played, there was no NIL money, but there was scholarship money on the line. So with baseball, especially, usually you're getting fractions of a scholarship for athletics, and you're mixing it with academic money and trying to afford to go to school. Well, if you're somebody that's on a 30% scholarship and you're not in the starting lineup and you're not playing well, all you can think about is in June when it's time to renew my scholarship, am I even going to be offered one, or am I going to be on the team? Can I afford to go to school? So like there is a lot more stress when it comes to being a student athlete, because on top of that, you also have to balance 18 hours in the classroom. You also have to balance, at least 3 or 4 times a week lifting weights with the team and morning workouts. You also have to worry about eating and putting in the right nutrients in your body. So it becomes overwhelming. But with all of that said, it's the best thing that could ever happen to you, because it molds your mind into thinking like you have to be structured, you have to be organized, so that whenever you're done playing and you're out in the real world, you're able to keep what you've built, and like you've everything that you've worked for, you can just push it to something else, whether it's business, or if you want to be a fireman, or if you want to be a teacher or coach, whatever it is, it sticks with you for life.
Yeah, that's great stuff. Kind of back to the talking about the podcast a little bit. What do you think has been maybe you know, a good thing that you didn't think would come out of the podcast? Obviously it's a lot bigger than you guys planned it to be. So what are some good things that have come out of it? And what are a couple of challenges that have came with being able to run such a big platform?
Yeah, there's been so many good things that have come out of it. The people that I've got to meet, former just people I looked up to growing up, people I still look up to now, getting to meet them because of this. I would say the best thing that's come of it is my job. I have a full-time job now because I started 11.7, and the full-time job is still in the college baseball industry, which is still very small right now. But you'll learn about it one day when you have kids and everything. Health insurance is very important, and then a salary is very important on top of that. So it's led me to my full-time job that I have of working for Synergy Sports, and I would have never even sniffed this opportunity if it wasn't for 11.7. And then the challenges. Oh man, there's been a ton. I think one of the biggest challenges that nobody ever thinks about when starting a website or a podcast or any kind of social media platform is like you can't make everybody happy, even though everybody wants to be happy. So whether it's a potential sponsor, or whether it's the mother of some player that you might have talked down to, not talked down to, but posted a highlight of him dropping a fly ball to lose the game, and his mom DMs you saying like you're a bad person for doing this. There's a lot of people that want to feel happy in this world, and I don't blame them. And sometimes it comes off as you're trying to rain on their parade. So those are challenges that nobody wants to have to deal with.
Yeah. And then what advice would you give? And it doesn't necessarily have to be podcast. I know you've done some color commentating here and there. What advice would you give someone that has no experience that wants to get into sports media, or whether that, like I said, be commentating, podcasting, anything like that, where should someone start? Not, that doesn't necessarily have to be specific, but as broad as you want to make it, where should someone start?
There's a lot of different roads and avenues to go down. I know the most important thing for me was like building a good network of people that are already in the industry. So even if it's your local high school radio broadcaster, or if you know that your dad went to college with the producer on ESPN Plus for North Texas soccer games, like it doesn't matter. Anybody in the sports media industry has been through the struggle of trying to get their foot in the door. And everybody that you know that is currently working in the sports industry will relate to that and help you get your foot in the door somewhere else. So whether that's starting by working as a personal assistant to the Dallas Mavericks radio broadcaster for home games, well, guess what? If you get offered that position, go ahead and take it. And while you're working there, making a little bit of money, start your own thing. Start a podcast, start a website, a blog, something that you feel comfortable doing so that you can showcase your knowledge for the game that you want to cover, the passion that comes with it. And you might find out 3 weeks into it, like, you know what? I actually hate waking up and having to do a podcast every Tuesday. I don't want to do this anymore. And that way you're not wasting anybody's opportunity that they're giving you. You kind of figure out on your own, like, maybe I need to do something else. This isn't for me.
Yeah, and I think a big thing, at least for me, just getting into sports media and stuff, is don't go into whatever internship or whatever it is expecting anything out of it. You know what I mean? Go into it with an open mind and know that you want there's a couple things that you'd like to get out of it, but don't expect anything. Keep an open mind and just kind of feel it out and see what comes from it.
Exactly. Yeah, because I mean, I'm a big believer that like whatever's supposed to happen in your life will happen. And if you take an internship somewhere like a sports media company, and you think that you're going to be the next on-air person on Sports Center, but then like subconsciously and then like through just the butterfly effect, you're going to end up where you need to go. And that might be, you might end up being the best TV producer in the world and know how to work a camera better than anybody. And you would have never gotten that opportunity without just getting your foot in the door and figuring out like, oh, actually, I do like this more than that. So it happens all the time, dude.
Yeah. Okay. I think that's really, all the questions I have. I do have one fun question though.
All right.
If you could record a special podcast episode in any stadium, and I might even add there's a right and wrong answer knowing the teams you like, which one would you choose? One stadium. And it could be any sport. It doesn't have to be baseball.
Okay. So if it was baseball, 100% would be, I guess you got to call it Dakin Park now instead of Minute Maid Park, just being a diehard Astros fan. But if I wanted to do maybe a unique or a once in a lifetime opportunity to record a podcast, I've always wanted to go into the Tokyo Dome. The Tokyo Dome out in Japan
That's a good one.
is, anytime I was playing video games growing up and it was an option to play the game in there, I would. I watch as much Japanese baseball as possible, which is in my new job. I love it. I love the passion and the, I don't know, the unique atmosphere of it. So I'll give you that answer there. It's a good question, though.
Well, Ben, I appreciate your time. A bunch of great stuff. Again, I appreciate you for joining me, and that's all I got.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks, Chase.